kids need something to look at, to want to do, and all in front of the face nowadays is guns, drugs, people going in jail, and that's all I'm seeing.
All the Asian people are just staying together, all the black people are staying together.
Sometimes they ask you properly what have you done in it, just take it and knock you up.
In about 20 minutes time, yeah, there was like 4 cop cars and everything, right, put your hands up, you know? Straight away, man, do you know what I mean? Without any question or anything.
Police officers are not aliens.
And I definitely think they abuse their power.
Listen to us and not just assume things. I think that is the problem.
The police are always watching us.
Saying that we're always causing bother.
They do talk to us, yeah, they're quite friendly.
I just let them get on with it.
Usually a bit of conflict between the two.
Terrorism has changed the way the police treat our community.
Like everybody, the Asian communities are scared. It's a frightening thing, is this terrorism, and they feel as though they're viewed with suspicion, particularly those who are visibly, you know, hijab wearers, people with beards, people who wear skull caps.
I think there's probably a couple of things here which are really, really important. One is stuff to do with terrorism, which is going on at the moment. It gets a lot of media attention. There are different things which have happened in the country and things which have happened in West Yorkshire which people will all be aware of and are really high profile. And I think that makes sections of the black and Asian communities a bit nervous, and it can undermine some of the trust in the police.
But people are worried in the community. You know, they're worried about, are they going to be stopped and searched more? Are they going, you know, are they going to be targeted? Not necessarily by the police, but by hooligans and by people who don't understand and have misconceptions about the Muslim community.
What needs to happen is decent people from all backgrounds, black, white, Asian origin, need to come together and unite against extremists. So the mainstream in Britain, and I include the police in that, needs to unite against extremists. What it really needs in our communities is for people to be strong enough to do the right thing.
We were just sat on the wall outside someone's house, right?
Yeah.
We wasn't doing no harm, we were just talking.
Quietly.
And then he came up to us, asked us all descriptions, where we lived in this and that.
And then he goes, he'll give us an ASBA.
I think that there's a lack of communication between the police and the community. The police needs to understand that they're policing by consent.
There is a perception of the police, I suppose, that all young people are probably up to no good, and if they're sort of hanging about out, don't seem to be doing anything, then they could be up to no good, and I think that's a perception.
I was knocked unconscious while trying to help the police in 2001. The difference there is that I wasn't charged, and the police later apologised. So all I'm trying to say is, I know at first hand that the police aren't perfect. They sometimes get it wrong, but it isn't in their interest to get it wrong.
We find it not too difficult to make links with you know, mosque committees and things like that, but we have to recognise that actually they don't speak for the whole community, and very often you've got young people who in some areas won't necessarily listen to those people. So even though we can influence some members of the community, actually there's a lot of young people who don't get that influence at all.
The B&B community is willing to do anything to improve the community relation. I think the confidence, because they have been so many times consulted on so many issues, and they think this is just a PR, you know, exercise. It's just a public relation. People just want to tick the box.
Say like if you're in a gang, yeah, and say there's a gang fighting in it, and if you're walking by and a police officer comes to you and he just arrests you, that's not right, innit? I bet the police officer thinks that's you're in the gang too. So
I think young people need to be aware that there is that chance that they might get stopped and searched.
People have been very worried about how you stop people, and I think it's got to be very clear, and I'm very clear, that stop and search has got to be intelligence-led and not beard-led.
Someone did something like this at someone and said they've got a gun.
which they didn't really have. So they thought that someone's got a firearm, so they searched us all. And they pinned you down and they were very violent.
Once they stop you, they need to give you a record as to the reason why they stopped. And sometimes the feedback that I get is that it doesn't happen all the time. The police officer will say, I don't have to do this, I don't have to tell you this, or I don't have to give you a record. Yes, they do.
Young people tell me that happens to them a lot. They're not necessarily searched, but they're questioned and they're stopped and they're asked where they live and, you know, for details. An officer can't just ask you for details without having grounds for doing that.
I can understand why people don't like that, but I think there is another side of the coin, and the other side of the coin is we do need to be able to stop people and search people, because there are people in all communities who are not law-abiding, but you can't be searched just because you're black, just because you're Asian. You know, that doesn't wash. That's not allowed. It's not legal.
We've seen some really genuine attempts by the police service in different parts of this country to improve its record on recruitment and retention and indeed promotion of black and minority ethnic officers, and all that is welcome. But I think also BME individuals and communities have got to look at what they can do more, and certainly what is key is people becoming police officers.
They're saying they need to employ more black and ethnic. Well, you're not going to just hire them, as you said. You're not going to go downtown and buy a few.
That people worry about their children coming into a profession like this, because there's all sorts of issues about the safety of police officers anyway, and if there's additional worries about how will their loved ones be treated when they're in the police, and how will they be viewed by their communities, will they be ostracised? Those are still real things, real issues that are going on for people now.
The other side of that is that some of us think, yeah, I'm going to be a police officer one day, and yeah, I'm going to remember what I was doing in the neighbourhoods, and the fact is that some of them get to that level and they actually forget where they've come from. And sometimes it's not so much forget where they've come from, but it would seem that their hands are now tied from actually making a positive change.
And what I'd say is one of the biggest reasons for people not joining is because people from communities that they can relate to aren't there. What I mean by that is, if you have more black and Asian origin people in the police service, that will give confidence to others that it's a place where you can work, you can have a career, you can do some good work for the community.
That's one of the reasons why I took a major career change. It's an opportunity to challenge the organisation to achieve and get to the position where in the police service I feel that I'll be able to influence and be a role model for other BMA people who want to join the police service.
The target group that we're looking at for the future is the most important, and that is young people, because in a few years' time they will have the chance to join the police service and to serve their community. And so that's the critical age that we need to target. All the conditions are really good to allow fruitful dialogue, because at the end of the day the objectives, all our objectives are the same, which is to keep our communities safe and secure. And so the only way we're going to do that is to work together.
I believe at present there's a lot of razzmatazz, there's a very glossy leaflet, but there's no commitment. And unless you have a commitment, nothing's going to happen.
Let's work together. I want to see my young people from my community being a part of some of the decisions that the police are making. Be a voice, let your voice be heard. Ask your senior officers questions. Get involved, because it's your community and you're part of it. And if you don't go and ask those questions, other people will make decisions that you don't like. Together, we can make some proper good changes.